Very good evening to all of you. Hello and welcome, guys. My name is KP Singh, and I welcome one and all to today's session of Mastering Legal Aptitude in 120 minutes. This is a masterclass series. Okay, I know this has been a busy day for most of you. All of you were attending your regular classes. Then there were two special sessions. There was a live Quizzard on YouTube channel. There was a common weekly CA catch-up session, and now you have been forced to sit for this one. So I will not take much of your time. We'll quickly talk about few important pointers. We'll do a bit of practice, and then we'll call it a day. Welcome Chaurya, welcome Riddhi, welcome Akshat, welcome Prachi, welcome everyone. Well, legal aptitude is the most dreaded as well as most loved subject in law entrance fraternity. So ऐसा क्यों होता है? Welcome Mansi, welcome others. ठीक है guys. What is an aptitude? Let's start with the basic question. What do you understand by word aptitude? Before that, before asking that, please answer another question. Can you guys hear me properly? Is the screen visible to all of you? Can you see the presentation and can you hear my voice? Thank you. Thank you, Nanya. Thank you, Raksha. Welcome, Akshat. Take care. Well, so what is aptitude? Nowadays, this is a buzzword. Whichever entrance exam you're preparing for, they talk about aptitude. Whether you are meeting a career counselor or you are joining some coaching institute, they keep on harping about aptitude or shaping aptitude, building aptitude. We are aptitude shapers. So what is aptitude? Okay. Ability to do something. Right. So if you want to get better understanding, try to disintegrate this word. इस शब्द का संधि विच्छेद कीजिए, आपको ज्ञान की प्राप्ति होगी. So if I break it down, what will I get? Aptitude, apt plus attitude. So apt means suitable and attitude is your mental approach. So what the examiner is trying to find is not your knowledge level or your expertise. What they want to know is whether or not you are genuinely inclined towards a particular field. If you're genuinely inclined towards a particular field, you will have some basic skills required to excel in that particular area, right? So having said that, tell me something. What are the most essential skills for a lawyer? All of you are budding or aspiring lawyers, future lawyers. Tell me the most important skill that a lawyer would require to succeed. Ananya says analytical ability. Okay, reasoning. Chaliye. So reasoning, analytical ability, I accept that. And that's the reason your reasoning section has been given a hefty weightage of 20% in your CLAT exam. Interpretation, Purvi. Yes, interpretation is everything. Communication, Purvi says, Vishal also says communication. Language plays an important role, no doubt about that. Whether you are counseling a client or arguing in front of court of law, the single most important thing that is going to matter is what you speak and how you speak, isn't it? Therefore, language plays an important role. It has been given hefty weightage of 20%. Along with that, language skills will also help you excel in other sections of your law entrance exam. So if you're focusing only on CLAT, then language becomes the top most priority for you people. So there are three deciding factors. First is your language skill, which has two components: your reading speed and your comprehension ability. How well? Yes, Anchal, that's correct. So how fast can you read and how well can you understand while reading? So it's not just a speed reading test. It's also about your test of understanding. Chaliye. Second most important area which will help you in scoring more is your knowledge base. Lawyers need to stay updated. Law and medical science are two prominent areas which evolve on daily basis. Like every month there is some new happening, some new development taking place, and your syllabus will change. So we require you to keep yourselves updated about day-to-day happening, and therefore general knowledge has been given more importance in law entrance exam when compared with all other entrance exams in a country. Well, so that way I can justify logical reasoning, critical reasoning, I can justify English language section, I can justify even general knowledge section. Then why do we need legal aptitude? Well, legal aptitude is nothing but logical reasoning with some verbal skills or comprehension skills. So, legal aptitude, in order to excel in this particular section, you don't need to be a lawyer. You don't need to know the law. All you need is a lawyer's mindset. So, what are the prominent question types and what is the best way to tackle those question types? Well, if I compare all the why quad, Riddhi has a question, interesting question, Riddhi, and I should answer that, isn't it? Well, if you look at the syllabus of your law entrance exam, in quant section, they say that we are going to test your basic calculation skills or elementary mathematics. So elementary mathematics of class 10th level maths is considered essential for decision making, right? So let's say, Riddhi, I will allow you to speak that way. Can you just raise your hand? That becomes easier for me to point out. Riddhi is here. Okay. So Riddhi, let's say your mother is sending you to market to fetch some fruits. She told you to go and buy bananas. She gave you 100 rupees. You go to the vendor and vendor says, unmute yourself first. Ma'am, 60 रुपए का डजन ले लो या फिर 5 रुपए पीस ले लो, क्या लेंगे आप? 5 rupees a piece या 60 rupees a dozen? Quickly.
It's one and the same thing.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hanji, can you please repeat?
It's one and the same thing.
Exactly. So isn't it common sense? So basic maths is required to take decisions. So some of the students were still confused. बहुत सिंपल सी चीज है, मैथ्स काम आती है लाइफ में, बहुत ज्यादा काम आती है डिसीजन मेकिंग में. सो दे डोंट वांट यू टू नो इंटीग्रेशन डिफरेंशिएशन, दे डोंट वांट यू टू नो द हायर मैथ्स, but they want you to know the basics, right? And it has not been given too much of importance. Highest weightage is given in CLAT, that is 10%. Highest is in CLAT, that is only 10%. In ALT, MSCT, if you look at other exams, weightage is much lower than that. Well, in LSAT 0, SLAT 0. Chali, let's move on. I hope that answers your question. Well, Ira says they removed quant from ALT. Yes, they did recently, but expect surprises, right? For example, they have also removed legal reasoning as a section, but if you read syllabus of logical reasoning, it includes legal reasoning. So we don't know for sure how many questions will be from the legal area, how many questions will be purely from logical area. Okay, chaliye, let's move on. So if we club up all the question types that come in major entrance exam, then this is the hierarchy that you need to prepare for. The single most important question type is principal fact based legal reasoning question. Yes, I said it, it is still the most frequently asked question type. Check out ALET, check out MSCD, check out SLAT, check out BLAT, check out roulette and other exams. Except CLAT, all other exams will heavily rely on principal fact based legal reasoning. Then if you're focusing on CLAT, then passage based legal reasoning is also there. So whether it is principle based legal reasoning or passage based legal reasoning, basic skill set required to tackle these questions is same, right? Okay, chaliye. Next, so these are skill based question types. Then there are knowledge based question types. Knowledge based question will be either related to legal concepts or legal current affairs. Now, what are legal current affairs? Things happening on day-to-day basis in the legal arena, like who is the current Chief Justice of India? If I use a bit of history here, who was the first Chief Justice of India? Who is the current law minister of a country? And who was the first law minister of a country? चुपचाप सुन रहे हैं, आंसर भी दीजिए. Who was the first law minister of a country and who is the current one? Who was the first Chief Justice of India and who is the current Chief Justice of India? Current is Kiren Rijiju, that's correct. N.K. Ramana, N.V. Ramana, okay. CGI is N.V. Ramana. Ramana is correct answer. चलिए, अभी का तो बता दिया. What about the first one? First CGI, first law minister. First law minister was the person who is given credit for drafting world's lengthiest constitution, Dr. Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. And the first Chief Justice was Justice Karnia. So Justice Karnia wasn't blind or one-eyed. He had two functional eyes, but his name was Karnia. Just a trick to remember. Okay, Chari, let's move on. So legal current affairs. Then there are legal concepts. Why do they ask legal concept when earlier I told you that you don't need to know the law in order to excel in this area? Well, they are not asking you detailed, in-depth questions. They just ask about basics. Why? Because when you are inclined towards a particular field, when you are interested in a particular subject matter or area, you tend to know a little bit more than others. For example, if you are a Virat Kohli fan, you would know a bit more about Virat Kohli than I would. Like where did he get married? To whom he got married to? And what is his strike rate, his best performance, his records, his memorable innings? If you follow Lionel Messi, you would know how many goals that person has scored. Right? चलिए इससे आगे बढ़ते हैं. So if you're interested in the field of law, you would have picked up some additional knowledge about these areas. So if there is a legal knowledge based question, most probably it will relate to the field of constitution. And that's the reason. The reason is that constitution is one subject of law which all of us have started in our school days. कब पढ़ा था आपने constitution school में? How did you get to read Constitution of India in school? Did you get to read Constitution of India in school? Pol Science 11th and 12th, Shaurya says that's correct. Civics, Jash, that's also correct. So civics, all of you, and first page of NCRT, even that is correct. That is your preamble to the Constitution. First page of text, Standard 6, correct. And there is a legal studies subject for CBSE schools nowadays, quite popular. Okay, so that is one area that people examiner will pick to create questions out of. Okay, so this we talked about question types. Acha, there's one more question type which requires both knowledge as well as logic. For example, assertion reason. They will give you two statements. First statement is an assertion. Second statement is the probable reasoning for the first one. And you need to answer whether both these statements are correct or not, and whether the second statement is correct reasoning for the first one. Okay. Now, so first part can only be answered based on knowledge. So whether these statements are true or false, if you don't know the answer, you won't be able to solve it. Second part is logic. So for example, if I tell you, will someone like to volunteer? Let me give you a question. Just raise your hand. Bandana, oops, hand is down. Bandana is again here. Vinayak. Okay. Chaliye. Good enough. Well, so Bandana, I'm allowing you to talk. You were the first one to raise your hand. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Great. Chaliye, Bandana. Let's see. Oops. There's an assertion. Statement says 26th November is celebrated as Constitution Day. Right?
Yes, sir.
Let me change it. Let's say assertion says on 26th November 1949, Indian Constitution was adopted by the Constituent Assembly. This is your first statement.
Okay,
Right?
sir.
Okay. Second statement says 26th November is celebrated as Constitution Day. Now you have four options that both statements are correct, and second one is the proper reasoning for the first one. Option B, both are correct, but second one is not the proper reasoning for the first one. Third statement, third option, only first one is correct. Fourth, only second one is correct. Fifth option, both are incorrect. What's the answer?
So only the second one is correct.
चलिए, so first में क्या गलती है बताइए?
So like it was not adopted on 26th November, rather on 26th Jan.
Okay, so what do you mean by adoption?
So like it was given to the country, to the citizens of the nation.
Adoption means accepting something.
Yes, sir.
right? Our constitution was adopted on 26th November 1949. We adopted India's constitution on that day, but we implemented on 26th Jan 1950. So that answer is incorrect. So I give you second opportunity. दोबारा try कीजिए, एक lifeline गया आपका.
Yes, sir.
Now what? So first statement is correct. So अब क्या होगा? Which answer will you pick? I can't hear you. Can you speak a bit louder?
So the second statement says that 26th
26th
November.
November is celebrated as the Constitution Day, also called the Law Day.
Okay, sir.
So pick your answer. I gave you 4 options.
Sir, both statements are correct, but statement 2 is not the correct explanation of one.
Again, incorrect but correct. So how do I put it? Well, your reasoning is wrong, but your answer is right. Yes, answer is option B, but you should say that second statement is not the correct reasoning for the first one. It is not the reason for the first one.
Yes,
It
sir.
can be correct explanation, but it is not reason for the first one, right? For those of you who couldn't understand, let me use another simile. What if I say, Bandra, when were you born? Your date of birth?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. तो ये तो कैसा date of birth हुआ? Every day you will say tomorrow.
So 31st Jan 2004.
31st Jan. Okay. Year, if you don't mind sharing, or you can make up whichever year, pick whichever year you would like to share with others.
No, so it is actually on 31st Jan.
31st Jan, which year?
So 2004.
2004. So let's say first statement says 31st Jan 2004, Bandana was born. Statement 2 says Bandana celebrates her birthday on 31st Jan every year. Right? So are these statements correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, these are. But do you celebrate your birthday on 31st because you were born on 31st in 2004? Or is it the other way around?
So the first way.
As you were celebrating your birthday on 31st, you decided कि इसी date पे birth ले लेना चाहिए. Right? So that is the analogy that everybody should be able to relate to. You can go back to mute. We'll move ahead with our next question. Chale. So these are the different question types. If you look at the entire spectrum, these are the question types that you need to handle. Then what are the basic skills required? And what will help? You need to improve your legal vocabulary. It is something that generally people ignore. They say that if it is all logical, why do I need to learn vocab? Well, answer is because you won't be able to comprehend information given in the passages. Right? If you're appearing in ALET or MSCT, there will be direct question based on vocab. Even in English section, they used to ask a question type called foreign phrases. And in the name of foreign phrases, they generally used to test your knowledge of legal maxims. What if in the principal fact based question, the principle itself says ignorantia juris non excusat? If you don't know what does this statement mean, you won't be able to apply any logic to it, right? Even if they have given or provided explanation to it, let's say principle says that ignorantia juris non excusat. Along with that, they say in explanation that ignorance of law is not an excuse. If I know the maxim, I will take lesser time to read that same question. You will have to put in more number of seconds or minutes to solve that same question. So improving your legal vocab is one hack which works. Next thing is obviously you need to read a constitution, especially these important areas, and revise it multiple times. Don't rely on one single class कि अच्छा class में IMS ने पढ़ा दिया, 2 classes हो गई हैं, 4 classes हो गई हैं, I'm done. That's not the right approach. Please keep on revising it. As far as current affairs is concerned, it will help you not just in legal section but also in your GK section, because even in GK section many questions will relate to the legal field. So read up about recent amendments, major changes in statutes, and legal personalities, their books, any controversial article or section of any law book in a country. If you want to practice or if you want to improve your accuracy in logic based question types like principal fact or passage based, you need to clear out your concepts of torts, contract, and criminal law. So criminal law may say there will be lot many conceptual question, even from contract conceptual question, but from the Constitution of India, mostly you will get knowledge-based questions. Chale, so we'll try to answer all question types one by one. Let's pick up in the same hierarchy. In order to excel in this section, the most important skill is common sense. I always say that law is common sense, but common sense of rational people. So in order to give correct answer, you don't need to be a genius, but you should also not be a dumb person. In other words, आपको Albert Einstein नहीं बनना है, but Rahul Gandhi भी नहीं बनना है. You should be somewhere in between. If you can strike that balance, you will never go wrong or you will never go astray in legal section. Right. So common sense is not so common, Ananya says. Well, Ananya will second you on that. But here, common sense of rational people is required, not just common sense. You know, for example, let's say in India, if I'm standing in a gathering and if I say that gods are fake, there is no god or gods. All of this is bullshit. Common sense says that I should not say it if I want to live. But logic says that this statement might be factually correct, right? So you need to have common sense along with logic, so along with rationality. So don't get emotional while answering, don't get sentimental while answering, don't even try to give idealist answer. आपसे इंसाफ नहीं करवाया जा रहा है, my lord, what should be the verdict? Nobody is asking you to do that. Just try to use information given in the passage or information given in the principle, and based on that amount of knowledge or information that they have provided, try to come to a logical conclusion, right? Chaliye. So let's check how many of you have common sense. Let me change setting of the chat box. Now only I would be able to read what you people are typing. There will be a couple of questions. If any one of you have already attended my classes, then these questions might be known or familiar. अगर आप पहली बार देख रहे हैं तो आपके लिए काफी अमेजिंग हो सकता है. तो चलिए, let's try it out. What we are trying to check is आप में से कितने लोगों के पास कॉमन सेंस है प्लस लॉजिक है, राइट? सो आइए आप और मैं मिलके खेलते हैं कौन बनेगा क्लैट टॉपर. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन ऑन योर स्क्रीन. आंसर विद इन 5 seconds. Larry's father has 5 sons named 10, 20, 30, 40. Guess the name of the 5th child. Quickly. 50. Oops. So I got like 3 50s, 4 50s now. So all of you who wrote 50, please read it again. I will not point out names because that won't look good. Yes, Maria, that's correct. Anuj, that's correct. Purav, that's incorrect. Recheck. Sorry. Question is, Larry's father has 5 sons. So will you include Larry in that? Answer is yes. So what should be the answer? Answer would be Larry. So it's a very simple, straightforward question, but still I got like 5 or 7 incorrect answers. Chaliye, let's take it a notch up. Questions will keep on getting more and more difficult. Next question on your screen. Name all the numbers from 1 to 100 which have letter A in their span. Start counting. ONE1, TW2. Ira, you have already attended my session, so I will discount your answer. Let me just discard few names. Okay. Okay, so 0. Some people writing 0. ZERO 0 में कहाँ आता है? Yes, answer is none. You know, for those of you who are trying to do some mental calculation here, let me give you another hack. If after reading a question, you think that you will require 3 or 4 minutes to solve it, that means more than 2 minutes to solve a question, that should ring, that should raise the red flag, that should ring the alarm bell. It means that you're doing it wrong. All the questions that you see in the paper, you should be able to solve within 2 minutes or less than that. In actual exam, you generally get 45 seconds to answer a question, right? 150 questions, 120 minutes. Do your math. Okay, so which is the first number? So what is the shortcut here? Spell out 0 to 9. If you don't find an A, you will not find A in their combination. So 2 में नहीं है, 1 में नहीं है, तो 21 में भी नहीं होगा, 99 में भी नहीं होगा. First number in which you will get letter A is Riddhi, Purvi, both of you gave the right answer. Correct answer is 1000. So till 909, till 999, there's no A. Okay, next question will require a bit of legal knowledge. So I will do some drawing here just to give you the right idea. My drawing is pathetic, so you guys will have to bear with me. I'm trying to draw something which should look like a river. Okay, next question on your screen. Okay, okay. It says the Mississippi River is the dividing line between Tennessee and Arkansas. So there's a river dividing two states. If an airplane crashed exactly in the middle of the Mississippi River, so I'm marking a point X here. So this is the point. So there's a river dividing Tennessee and Arkansas. If an airplane crashed exactly in the middle of the river, where would the survivors be buried? कहाँ पे दफनाएंगे? Simple question. Yes, Raksha, you have already attended the session. So please, guys, if you have already attended some of these questions, please abstain from, refrain from answering. Don't spoil it for others. Let others also have that same experience. Vinayak says in the river. Magima says in graveyard. Okay. Anybody can give correct answer for this one. All those of you who said that they will be buried in the river, that's incorrect. They will be buried in the ground, that's incorrect. We will have to check the passport, that's incorrect. We need to check their religion. Not everybody needs to be buried. Some people will get cremated, that's also incorrect. Well, right answer is in the last line. Let me give you a trick. Try to translate this into your mother tongue. That way it becomes much more easier. Yes. So in the last sentence, it is written that where would the survivors be buried? So survivors basically means somebody who survived. So answer is nowhere. There's no need to bury them because they lived. Wasn't that difficult? But if you are doing casual reading, you will miss out such nuances. Sorry, so I will erase everything on the screen and then we'll move on to another question which is slightly more tough. Okay, so whatever you got to read here, all this is simple plain English. This is not legal language. But when you get to see legal language, people tend to tremble. People think that legal language is way too complicated, but I beg to differ. Legal language is not complicated. It is just that legal language is a bit more explained or elaborated. To point that out, I will give you two legal principle. All you need to do is spot out the difference. Your time starts now. आप और हम मिलके खेल रहे हैं कौन बनेगा लॉ स्कूल टॉपर. Questions on your screen. Just find out if there is any difference. Just write down yes or no. If you're saying yes, then you need to point out what is the difference. Yes, no, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Some people are coming up with expert advice. This is vis major. Nowhere it is mentioned it is vis major. Don't apply extra knowledge or you will get distracted. Use only that much information, that is provided in the question. Yes, there is a difference. There is a difference of one word. In the first principle, it says an event. In the second one, it says natural event. So what is an event? Event hota kya hai? Event means any happening or mishappening, right? For example, if some Netaji is taking out a procession, Yogi ji is doing it in UP right now. Is that an event? Yes. If my car broke down, is that an event? Yes. Let's say India-Pakistan cricket match, would that be an event? Obviously, yes. I'm getting married, will that be an event? Tragedy, of course, but yes. Two people are fighting in the middle of the road and we all are watching. Is that an event? For us, yes. So any happening or mishappening can be called an event. What about a natural event? So when we say natural event, that becomes a subset of an event. Yes, sure, yeah, sort of. I'm at my office right now. Okay, so natural event means an event which occurs on account of nature or natural forces. For example, Purvi says earthquake. Okay, earthquake. What else? Tsunami. देखिए मनुष्य अच्छी चीजें भी होती हैं. So stop talking about calamities. It's raining outside. Is that a natural event? Yes. Snowfall, rainbow, not just hurricane and Armageddon. Chali, let's move on. So there's a difference of one single word. If you are not reading alertly, you will miss that out. So there are a couple of pointers which you should note down while solving legal aptitude question. You need to read things cautiously and alertly. Alert reading is the key here. Most of these questions are quite simple and easy, but still many of us were not able to do it correctly in the first go. Well, answer is that the problem is that when we were young, we had to remember only a few jingles and like alphabet and things were sorted. 1, 2, 3, ABC. My life is very easy. But as you grew up, you were expected to read and memorize a lot more. Nowadays, we expect you to go to school, do all the homework provided in the school, write down, take down notes. Some of you might be doing doodling. Then, when you go back home, you have to attend IMS classes. Then we provide you notes, additional tasks. When I check your test performance tracker, I get to see that only 10% of the material has been solved or 20% has been solved. I understand there's a lot to do. Then we do have social life. We want to check out ट्विटर पे क्या चल रहा है, फेसबुक वॉल पे क्या आया है, इंस्टा पे किसके लाइक्स एंड कमेंट्स हैं, सोशल ग्रुप में फैमिली व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में गुड मॉर्निंग गुड आफ्टरनून गुड नाइट भी करना है. That means we continuously keep on reading, and because of that we develop the habit of skimming and skipping. So we lose focus and we tend to read things without paying attention to the detail. Even if I change spelling of the few words in this definition, most of you won't be able to notice. If you want, I will try it out in the next class and let's see how many of you can point out. I will misspell few words on purpose and let's see how many of you can get it. ठीक है, चलिए. So what is the solution? Solution is even simpler, right? अपने ज्ञान चक्षु खोल लीजिए, होश में आइए, जाग जाइए. So आज से अभी से take a pledge. Now onwards, take a pledge. Make a promise to yourself that whatever you're going to read in life, either you will read it alertly or you will not read it at all. If you have this conviction, you will never go wrong. Chaliye. So legal principle generally sounds, or legal language generally sounds more tricky to people. Why? Because it is bit more explained. Let me give an example. As a layman, if I want to give you this pen, I will say I'm giving it to you. As a lawyer, if I have to make the same statement, I will say I KP Singh, I'm transferring this pen to Mansi. I'm also giving away its cap, its refill, its ink. All the rights to sell, buy, and create lien on this have been transferred to you, and Mansi has paid me 500 rupees in cash in lieu of this pen. There is no lien on this pen anymore. In case future lien arises or occurs, Mansi should be responsible. What am I saying? Again, I'm making that same statement that I'm giving it to you. But when we are talking in layman's language, our words or our sentences are open-ended. They can be interpreted. My camera is off. Somebody is saying, Mahek is saying camera is off. No, it is not. Mahek. Might be Mahek, you have minimized it. I can see my beautiful face on screen. Why can't you? Anyways, Chali, let's continue. Well, so in legal language, we try to explain things or elaborate things much better in a better manner so that we don't leave out loopholes. Just think about any transaction where money is involved, where stakes are high. ऐसे समझिए, let's say if I have to buy a new house, will I do it like this? आज से ये घर मेरा, from today onward that this house would be mine, or will I create a contract? Sale purchase agreement where all the terms and conditions should be noted down. Whether you are getting a new job, your new boss says you can join from tomorrow. No further clarification. Will you join such a job? Unless you are a manual laborer, you won't. You will require details. how many leaves will I get, what will be my paycheck like, on which date will the salary get credited, and so on and so forth. So wherever there is money involved, you will try to avoid future disputes, and therefore we need legal language. So don't get scared when you see legal phrases. Generally, whatever principle or passages you get, these are definitions. They're explaining some legal concept. Either they would be defining an offense or a right. A couple of tricks I will be sharing along the way. One trick: whenever you come across any definition which starts with word whoever or anyone, so if you see first word as whoever or anyone, you can jump to the conclusion that they are defining some offense. So which offense is being defined here? Answer is cheating. So in this definition, they have defined cheating. What is cheating? Copying from your neighbor in exam? Well, no, that's not correct. That's copying. That's use of unfair means. Cheating means fraud, dhokebazi, right? So when you read this definition, in order to understand it better, you have to disintegrate that definition into smaller chunks. You have to identify the essential ingredients mentioned in the definition. So for example, here it says, whoever by deceiving any person dishonestly induces the person so deceived to deliver any property to anyone commits cheating. That's a bouncer. Now let's break it down. Whoever, so that's the culprit. By deceiving any person. So the first element is deception. Now, what is deception? Deception means to portray something to be true, which is in reality not true, or to portray something to be false, which is in reality true. So, झूठ को सच या सच को झूठ बताना is deception. For example, did I tell you that Sanjay Leela Bhansali has signed me for his next movie against Aishwarya Rai? नहीं बताया ना? Such a modest guy. Anyways, did I tell you that this is not an ordinary pen? It used to belong to Chacha Nehru, Pandit Nehru. ये भी नहीं बताया. देखिए, look at my modesty. Anyways, so what is deception? When you portray something to be true, which is in reality not true. Magicians, if you have ever been to a magic show, magicians use deception a lot. You know, hat में से rabbit है नहीं है, things like that. So deception is first step for committing cheating. What is the second step? So whoever by deceiving any person dishonestly induces that person. So dishonest inducement. What is inducement? Inducement means convincing, influencing, persuading, manana, patana, belana, fuslana, jhaase mein lena, aate mein lena, whichever word you can relate to. Okay. Insight is bhadkana, bandana. Okay, so deception plus inducement. So dishonest inducement, that is convincing or influencing or persuading. Whom? That same guy whom you deceived. Third element, to deliver any property. If all these three elements are there, then answer would be yes, X has committed cheating, A has committed cheating, right? Chaliye, so let's try it out. I need volunteers. Anybody who is attending this class for the first time, not someone who has already seen that question. So that much of honesty would be great. Okay, so who will first time? Shaurya. Okay, Shaurya, then I will allow you to speak. Yes, buddy. Hi. So it's always good to see and hear voices. I generally don't like taking classes in webinar format. I like it in meeting format so that we can see each other's faces. Okay, so but right now I'm getting these master classes only, so I will have to deal with it. So Shaurya, let me share an experience with you. So what you see in my hand is not an ordinary item. This is Tipu Sultan's talwar. It used to belong to the great warrior Tipu Sultan. When he was dying, in his last battle, he called me to his place and he told me that KP, you have India's future, so I want you to have it.
Okay.
So I was hesitant, but he insisted, so I took it. He also, took a promise from me that whenever I see a true warrior in future, I should sell it to him. And today in this class, Shaurya, after hearing your voice, I think today is the day and you are the man. Your name itself says Shaurya. Shaurya means valor.
Bravery, courage.
Shaurya is valor, courage. ठीक है. So Shaurya, because of this, I think I will fulfill that prophecy today. This sword or this knife, whatever you call it, is worth 10 million in international market. But for you and for today, I have a special offer. I will sell it to you just for 10,000 rupees. Isn't it amazing? Your life would be set. After this session, you can go and tell your parents, I got placed. Now I don't need to study anymore in life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm very serious about it. I've already shared my number with you. If you Paytm just 1,000 rupees as down payment, I will make sure that this item reaches your place. If you want to do it,
No, sir.
सोच लो, बार बार मौका नहीं मिलता है.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, चलिए कोई बात नहीं. ये बताइए हमारे इस कन्वर्सेशन में डिसेप्शन क्या है? What is deception in this story?
सर उसकी जो आप वैल्यू बता रहे हो मेरे को ऐसे बढ़ा चढ़ा के, उसमें आप मेरे को डिसीव कर रहे हो. उसकी ओरिजिनल वैल्यू ये नहीं है.
So deception, इससे पहला ये है कि ये टीपू सुल्तान की तलवार है. Do you think this thing belongs to Tipu Sultan?
No, sir, not at all.
That guy was dead like couple of centuries ago.
सर ये बना भी नहीं होगा.
काफी गैप है. When he died, I wasn't even born.
Yes, sir, exactly. हाँ, वो तो मैं सोच ही रहा था.
That is deception. What is inducement? I'm trying to convince you. Right? But did you get cheated?
No, sir.
You didn't get cheated. Why?
Sir, because मैं आपकी inducement का prey नहीं बना ना, that's why.
Oh, delivery of property नहीं हुआ, right?
Yes, sir.
What property are we talking about?
ये पेन टीपू सुल्तान के साथ तलवार.
Incorrect answer. So again, a common error. Now read that definition again. So you misread it, and therefore you. देखिए गलत पढ़ेंगे, गलत समझेंगे, गलत अप्लाई करेंगे तो नंबर कितने मिलेंगे? -0.25. Even if I transfer this pen to you, can you claim that you got cheated?
No, sir, until I don't make the payment for it, I think.
Correct. So which property are we considering here? That's your money.
Yes,
so
sir.
If I can convince you to deliver something to someone, then let's say अगर आज आपने दे दिए होते 1,000 रुपए मुझे अभी पेटीएम पे, तो क्लास खत्म होते आप IMS में कंप्लेन कर रहे होते, पता नहीं कौन से टीचर आया था बेवकूफ बना के चला गया. So deception, inducement, and delivery of property. Now you can go back to mute. I hope it is clear. So always read the principle as it is. Don't try to presume stuff. Don't try to run ahead of what is given to you in the question. In crux, I would say principle is the Brahma Satya. Brahma Satya is universal truth, which will not change with the change in time and place. It remains true wherever you go. So it is the universal truth. It is the Brahma Satya. Let's move on. Next point. Chaliye. So we'll try to answer a question this time. Anybody can answer in the comment section. What we do, we use that same method. We'll try to underline the important elements. The right of self-defense extends to causing death when one's life is in danger. What should I underline, guys? Shall I allow people to annotate? आप पता नहीं कुछ भी बना देंगे स्क्रीन पे. Anyways, chaliye. So I'm underlining right of self-defense. Okay. Causing death extends to causing death or just causing death? Extends to causing death or just causing death? Extends to causing death. What difference would that make? It's like saying 50% off and up to 50% off. What is the difference? When we say up to 50%, it can be less than that. 40, 30, 10, 5, 0.1, whatever. So right of self-defense doesn't require you to kill the other person, but you may if required. It extends to causing death. In last element, danger. No, not danger. Life in danger. That is also incomplete. When one's life is in danger. What does it mean? When your own life is under threat. Clear hai? Now read the situation and try to answer. If you don't understand any word, feel free to ask. Virappan, a notorious dacoit, is being followed by Chulbul, a police inspector, who has killed many criminals in the past. On being surrounded with cops and seeing that Chulbul is aiming at him with his revolver and is about to pull the trigger, Virappan shoots Chulbul in the chest. Chulbul succumbs to the bullet injury. Question is, can Virappan claim right to self-defense? A simple yes or no would do. No, yes, no, yes, yes, no. ठीक है. चलिए. So Devanshi, question is for you. Just raise your hand. I will allow you to speak so that I can listen to your reasoning. Devanshi is here. Okay, Devanshi, now you can speak up. Just unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. So why did you write no?
He himself has committed dacoity.
He is a dacoit,
self-defense.
डाकू है, criminal है, right? So criminal should not get right to self-defense against cops. Isn't it obvious, common sense?
Yes.
Right? So there are some people who are contradicting you. Let's see what they have to say. I will allow somebody else to speak up along with Devanshi. Who will like to try? Just raise your hand if you want to volunteer and counter her argument. Devanshi, you can keep yourself unmuted. So let's see who wins. मुझे लोगों को लड़वाना अच्छा लगता है. Anyways, so now people. Yes, Purvi, you can speak up. Just raise your hand so that your name appears on top of my screen and I can simply click on unmute. Where is Purvi? Here? Okay. Yes, Purvi, you are allowed to speak.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, loud and clear. What's your question?
Sir, I wanted to ask that in this type of question, do we have to stick with the principle or do we have to go around with the knowledge that...
Achha, on the previous slide, I asked you people to note down something. What was the Mool Mantra?
Universal truth.
That's it. So principle is the universal truth, the Brahma Satya, and principle is your universe. You can't go beyond the universe. Just stay within that. Okay.
Then this means that self-defense is available to Virappan.
It should be available to Virappan. So what Devanshi was saying, that criminals cannot use self-defense against police or cops. Isn't that also commonly known fact?
That is why I asked you the question about sticking to the principle.
Even if that is a commonly known fact, let's stick to the principle and tell me. It says one's life is in danger. Is Virappan's life in threat? Is his life in danger? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it is, right? When someone is aiming at you with a revolver and is about to pull the trigger, your life is under severe threat. So, accordingly, can he use self-defense?
Yes.
Yes, sir, according to the principle.
And can he also kill the other person while using self-defense? Again, answer would be yes. So here in the principle, they have written one's life. They have not written one innocent person's life. Correct? So it doesn't really matter whether that person is a culprit, whether he is, let's say, a sannyasi or a apradhi, whatever image that you have in mind, whether he is Bhavar Singh Shekhawat or Srivalli, it doesn't really matter. Chale, so right to self-defense extends to causing death if one's life is in danger. So correct answer for this one would be yes. But in exam, you don't just have to pick yes and no, you also have to give reasoning for that. So for that, I will give you 4 options. Imagine this is the same principle, same factual situation, and I'm giving you 4 options. Which one will you pick? Ananya answered, Amina answered, Mukta answered, Ira answered, Chaliye. So now everybody is going with D. Why not A? Right of self-defense cannot be used by criminal because that is use of extra knowledge or additional knowledge or previously acquired knowledge. You're not allowed to do that. Okay, why is second one also incorrect? Virappan cannot claim right of self-defense since he is trying to escape the police. अच्छा चलिए कोई बात नहीं, ये भी similar है. Why is C not your right choice? Virappan could have shot Chulbul elsewhere. It is saying that yes, he has this right to self-defense, but that extends to causing that. You don't necessarily need to cause death. He could have shot him, rather than killing him, he could have given him non-mortal wound, like shooting him in his legs. कम से कम चुलबुल बच तो जाता. Just says he didn't have time to think. तो सोचना तो तब चाहिए था था ना जब डकैती करने गए थे. Well, again, don't pick C because that's an emotional choice. Don't fall into an emotional trap. अगर आप emotions में बह जाएंगे, आपके marks भी बह जाएंगे. So don't fall for the emotional traps. Don't try to give idealist answer. This is what Devanshi did, right? Don't try to give idealist answer. होना क्या चाहिए? Nobody is seeking your opinion. Another hack. Whenever you see could have, would have, or should have in any option in these sort of questions, you can outrightly reject that option. That option is incorrect. Why? Because would have, could have, should have will lead to a suggestion or recommendation, and nobody is asking for your advice. They just want to see application of logic. So right answer, the most appropriate answer as per the principle would be option D. Chaliye, so with this note we'll move on. Chaliye. So this is what I want to tell you about principle based legal reasoning question. Couple of things. Always read alertly. Make sure that you are reading all the elements or ingredients of the principle and you are able to identify those. Make sure that you believe that principle is the universal truth and you are not using additionally acquired knowledge or previously acquired knowledge. Don't go beyond the principle. Don't fall into an emotional trap. Don't try to get sentimental while responding. Don't try to give idealistic answer. It's not a moral science paper. It's more of a logical reasoning paper with common sense, right? Don't go pick an option which is more in consonance with the principle, or whichever option is satisfying highest number of ingredients from the principle, right? Whichever option shares the reasoning of the principle, that is the best choice. In case you see could have, would have, or should have in any option, you can discard that one, you can reject it, right? Because that's a suggestion. Then still if you're confused, there's a shortcut trick when you have to take a call in a fraction of a second. दो में से एक समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, then go with the better explained or elaborated option, or in other words the lengthier one. It's not a rule, it's just a trick. It will help you in tie breaking. चलिए, let's move on. इससे आगे बढ़ते हैं. If you look at the CLAT new pattern, now you get to see 39 to 40 questions every year. There will be 8 passages. Skill set required to solve this is also similar, but it's just that when you're solving principle based question, you have to read less number of words. Now you have to read slightly more. It is still the tiebreaker section. This section is testing your interest towards the study of law, your research aptitude, and your problem solving ability. So again, it is logic, common sense, and your basic awareness put together. So how you should go about solving passage-based question? These are my tips for all the people. Rather than reading the passage, you should first have a look at the questions. So let me give you step-by-step method which I follow. First step, when you look at the passage, answer 2 questions in your mind. Is this passage short, medium, or lengthy? If it is lengthy, right, then might be I will not attempt it in my first go. Second question, which area or which topic is being covered? Is it from the constitution law? Is it from the criminal law? Is it related to contract act? Is it related to some sort of tort? That way I can decide if I'm really good with criminal law topics, I should solve this one. If I'm pathetic with criminal law topic, I should give up on that one. Let's say after taking multiple classes on criminal law, you are still not clear about culpable homicide and culpable homicide amounting to murder, and the passage is talking about culpable homicide and culpable homicide not amounting to murder or amounting to murder, it is better to skip that question at that point of time. Okay, chaliye, let's move on. So whenever you get to read 2 different pieces of information, and instruction is that you need to remember one while reading the other one. Always pick the smaller chunk. It is easier to recall that smaller piece of information while reading the lengthier one, right? To read the shorter one. So in passage based question, in principle fact question, what is shorter? It is generally the principle that is shorter. So we read the principle and then we read the factual situation. In a passage based question, questions would be shorter than passages. So it is better to first glance or have a cursory look at the question types and then go back to the passage. So you look at the passage, you know it's a decent or mediocre or medium-sized passage. You should go for it. It's from constitutional law or contract, which are your forte. Now you look at the question types before reading the passage, right? There are some questions which I call tracing questions. So answer is there in the passage. All you need to do is trace back the right para, right sentence, right phrase, and you have your marks. Then there are database questions which want you to give a specific answer. Again, it is a subtype of tracing. Tracing can be of an entire phrase or logic or rule or a sentence, right? Synonyms, antonyms, these are also tracing questions. But then there are data-driven questions. Third category would be questions based on application. So application-based questions, you don't have to read the entire question. You should know that there's a situation, which means I will have to apply whatever rules they have mentioned or provided in the passage. If it is a knowledge-based question or no tracing question, mark the keyword in the question itself. If it is a database question or direct answer to some particular information, mark that keyword in the question itself. If it is application-based question, don't read the question, move ahead. Okay. Then there are thematic questions, which are more of philosophical nature. Which of the following statement concludes the author's argument? Which of the following will strengthen the argument given in the passage? What should be the appropriate title of this entire passage, right? So these questions cannot be answered without reading the entire passage. So you know this type of question is being asked. आपको सिर्फ question types पता करने हैं, एक एक question को in depth पढ़ के नहीं रखना है. Sorted है, समझ आ रहा है? So shorter questions which want you to trace information, mark the keyword in the question itself. It becomes easier to trace. Now, why do I recommend this? Let's say if I read the passage before checking out the question, and if the passage is data heavy, I will think that every number, fact, figure, place, person mentioned is important. I will try to memorize it. I will try to mark it. I will try to highlight it. Then when I go to the questions and I see that all the questions are thematic, author कहना क्या चाहते हैं, author title क्या देना चाहते हैं, so all my efforts go in vain. So it is better to check the question types and then put in your efforts. So that way, what if all questions are data type? So I will do that type of tracing or marking while reading the passage. What if all questions are thematic? Then my marking style or my reading style would differ. Having said that, so understand the question thoroughly. Alert reading is still applicable. Read the questions before reading the passage. And after reading question, if you think that it is going to take 5 minutes or 7 minutes to solve it, per question, if it is going to take more than 2 minutes, that means you're doing something wrong. You haven't understood the question. And while reading a question, if you think you will have to apply additional knowledge to answer it, again, you're doing it wrong, because the syllabus says that you will not require additional legal knowledge to answer these questions. Okay. Mark important parts by reading para. Let's say in questions they have said which word in para 3 is antonym of this particular word. So if there's a question of this type, आपको para numbering करना है, otherwise not necessary. So all this you will have to decide on the spot after looking at the question types. Okay, speed and alertness throughout exam, obviously. And for practice, refer to past question papers, new pattern as well as old pattern, because skill set required is still the same. Read editorials in newspaper on daily basis. So that is the center page of your newspaper. You will find 5 to 6 important lengthy articles. It will help you in multiple ways. While you're reading, try to time yourself. So पूरा editorial कितना देर में आप complete करते हैं वो आपको पता होना चाहिए. Time yourself. So it will help you in developing speed reading habits. It will also help you in expanding your knowledge base, and your comprehension abilities will also improve. Obviously, it will help you in your CLAT exam. Well, more than that, solve mocks frequently. Well, I have written every month, but it changes based on where do you stand in your preparation journey. If you have just started, solving a mock every second week will do. If you are in the final stage, then try to solve one mock every week, at least. If you have done with everything and you have revised your syllabus multiple times, Arya says I have to do 12 mocks in 7 days. Why, Arya? Why that urgency? Is it because of the last MyPlan session that we had? If yes, then yes, you have to do it. Okay, so your prep plan will differ based on your preparation level and your strengths and weaknesses. I would recommend go for a MyPlan session with your mentors and let them understand your current position and let them create a study plan for you. That will be helpful. Okay, time yourself while attempting every section so you know exactly how much time will you require in each question type. ये question मैं already आपको करवा चुका हूं, so I will not waste time here. Just check out previous master class. We tried this question in one of the previous master classes. So it simply establishes what I want to convey. I think all of you have solved this one with me in previous session. Do you guys remember the passage? Yes. ठीक है. So in that case, I can skip a few slides here. Okay. So this is passage based. Now we come to knowledge based questions. When you're preparing for knowledge based question, you always think when you're prepared, Ira, you can request your center, they will arrange it for you. Don't worry. Right? I am mentoring people from Hyderabad, from East Delhi, from Connaught Place, from Jodhpur, multiple cities and centers. Okay, so among the following, who was not the president of India? अभी रिपब्लिक डे गया है, तो ये तो पता ही होना चाहिए. Amina is saying option 1. Saloni is saying option 3. Atashk is saying option 1. Well, guys, all of you gave incorrect answer. So neither option 1 nor option 3. Correct answer is option 2. Option B. It's C. Rajagopalachari. Well, most commonly picked option is option 1, Zakir Hussain, because when we hear this name Zakir Hussain, हमारे दिमाग में tabla player, the great master Zakir Hussain का image आता है. Well, he is not that person. 2 or more people can have same name. They can share the same name. So Zakir Hussain was the 3rd president of India. So he is a different Zakir Hussain. So he is not a tabla player. And don't take examiner as a fool that he will put up a tabla player in the list of president. ये आपका primary class का odd one out नहीं है, right? Now, even if you know the answer that it is C. Rajagopalachari and you memorized it that C. Rajagopalachari was not the president of India, it is not going to help you in your exam. Why? Because this question is talking about who wasn't the president. So simpler thing to do would be, first of all, read up who were the presidents in a country, who all have become president in a country. That's a shorter list. Then find out who was this guy, who was C. Rajagopalachari. That way, if examiner is not asking the same question next year, he might use some other option from this thing, or might create a question of Zakir Hussain or V.V. Giri, or a question of C. Rajagopalachari in a different way. चलिए तो आगे बढ़ते हैं इससे. I will ask few basic questions in a rapid fire way. I will not change the slide and we will end the class here on this slide, but with couple of more questions. I will just look at the chat box. Let's see कितने लोगों को आता है. But let me check Q&A. They ask very deep knowledge-based question. Yes, in current affairs they do. Max says, can you please repeat what you had said about long options? Mahek, that is a shortcut. That is a trick which will help you in tie breaking. There are some rules which I have mentioned earlier which you need to follow. If nothing else works and you have to take a call in a second, then go ahead with the lengthier option. Generally that is correct. I'm playing on probability here. If as an examiner I have created a question, that means I picked up a principle from some law book, then I altered it a bit as per my whims and fancies. I made a few changes. So whatever change I made, I will use it as the logic in my, or that is the, you can say, the hook of the question. Then when I have to write options, when I'm writing or explaining the correct answer, I can give proper reasoning. But then I also have to create 3 frivolous options. So it becomes difficult to create sensible or reasonable reasoning for those. इसीलिए chances ये रहते हैं कि आपका correct answer generally lengthiest option होता है. But only use it when all other rules have been applied and still you are confused between two or more options, right? So it's a trick, it's not a rule. There's a difference. Okay. Chaliye, so Saloni, this is related to legal GK. So first of all, और क्या question रह गया? Sanket says, I have a doubt about entrance exam. Can we give both SLAT and SET? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Generally, what they do is they keep SLAT and SET in different slots. So one is morning slot, one is afternoon slot. There are a few students every year who appear in both. Sanket, I hope that answers your question. Would next week classes cover static GK or current affairs? I am not sure which classes are you referring to. Are you talking about master classes? Well, I was allotted these couple of 4 master classes which I tried to deliver. Next week might be some other faculty will take up some other classes, or if I am allotted few more classes with you, whether it is GK or law, we'll try to continue. चलिए, अब कुछ questions हैं, आपको chat box में answer करना है. I think I covered all your questions in Q&A. Prachi, then request your centers, they will arrange for that. Next question. ये बताइए, on which date India became independent? Last 5 minutes, we'll quickly finish off and we'll try to learn more about what is given on the screen right now. 15th August is incomplete. 15th August 1947 is the right answer. On which date India became republic? On which date India became republic? 26 Jan 1950, that's correct. So 15 January is celebrated as Independence Day. 26 Jan is celebrated as Republic Day. I have already discussed what is a republic. I think that was for the CA catch-up session. I don't know whether you people were part of it. Yes, you were. What is a republic? A country where head of the state is an elected head. So that means India mein elected head 1950 ke baad aaya, once we became a republic. Who is head of the state in a country? Who is called head of the state for India? The president, Mahim, Rashtrapati. President is the head of the state. Okay. So let's say 1947 se pehle, when India was not free, who was head of the state for our country? Who was at the highest post? Prime Minister. Prime Minister to Azadi ke baad aaya hai. Queen Elizabeth Shaurya, that's name of a person, not post. Governor General, Mukta says Governor General, Bandra says Viceroy, Shaurya, both are correct. So that same person was called Viceroy, then name was changed to Governor General, then again to Viceroy. Sorry, Governor General to Viceroy to Governor General. Right? Vice to Roy. Roy means royalty. So Britain being a monarchy, highest post is crown, king or queen, whoever is holding on to that crown. And then his representative or her representative in India was Viceroy, deputy to the royalty, like Vice President, deputy to the President. Well, who was the last British Viceroy or Governor General to rule India? Who was the last British Governor General to rule India? Let's see how many of you know it. Magiba, that's correct. Maria, that's correct. Atish, that's correct. Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten is the guy who partitioned a country. Therefore, India-Pakistan partition plan is also called Mountbatten Plan. Okay. चलिए इससे आगे बढ़ते हैं. So 14th August 1947, this guy was head of the state for a country. What about 16th August 1947? Was he still the head of the country, or did we throw him out? Get lost. Your time is up. No, Prachi. Lord Mountbatten continued to serve India for next couple of months. He was still India's Governor General. Right? So 1947 we became independent. 1950 we became a republic. So what were we doing for these many years? That means it took us a lot of time to decide that we need a president. We were making constitution era, that's correct. So we started drafting constitution even before our independence. Constituent Assembly met for the very first time on 9th of December 1946. After the visit of the Cabinet Vision Plan. 9th August 1946, we started with drafting of the constitution. First meeting was held. Then that discussion took us 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. That's a lot. If you add up 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to 9th December 1946, you will reach 26th November 1949. So 26th November 1949 is the date when we adopted India's constitution. We accepted it and we said that we will launch it. That means we will start implementing it from 26th of Jan next year. Why? I have already given you the reason in previous class. Watch out CA catch-up session for that. Okay. अच्छा ये बताइए, so 48 में when Lord Mountbatten was leaving, he decided to appoint one Indian as the Governor General. Can you guess the name of that person who was appointed as Governor General of India? Shaurya, that's correct. Mukta, that's correct. Correct answer is C. Rajagopalachari. No, not Rajendra Prasad. Rajendra Prasad was president or chairman of the Constituent Assembly. Later on, when Assembly completed its task of creating constitution and the constitution was implemented, after the first government came into power, he got elected as the President of India. So Dr. Rajendra Prasad was India's first president. He was also permanent chairman or elected chairman of the Constituent Assembly. And we also celebrate Advocates Day in his memory. Can you tell me on which date do we celebrate Advocates Day in our country? Adhivakta Devas, 3rd December, Mayank, that's correct. Chari. Okay, Rajendra Prasad, first president. Permanent chairman of elected chairman of the Constituent Assembly. So C. Rajagopalachari became the Governor General. If there's a question, who was the last Indian to become Governor General of India? Answer would be C. Rajagopalachari. Who was the first Indian to become Governor General? Again, answer is C. Rajagopalachari, because he was the only one to hold that post. So very important person. Yes. So he was considered very close to Mr. Gandhi. As they say, Gandhi ji ke Gandhi ji ke teen friends. There used to be 3 of his close aides, Pandit Nehru, Sardar Patel, and C. Rajagopalachari. These people were considered Gandhi ji's heart, hand, and mind. So dil, dimag और हाथ किसको क्या बनाएंगे? 3 लोग हैं, 3 characteristics हैं. Who will get what? A simplest, very simple way to answer this is, who was closest to Gandhi? Right? Gandhi ji के दिल में कौन था? Answer is Kasturba Gandhi. क्या-क्या लिख रहे हैं आप लोग? Anyways, so yes, Pandit Nehru can also be given some small corner in Gandhi ji's heart. So Pandit Nehru was his closest, and therefore he became the Prime Minister. So Nehru will become heart. What about mind and hands? If you look at Statue of Unity, world's tallest statue, honoring Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India. Why do we call him Iron Man? Because he had the iron will. He was considered best person to implement and execute stuff. Anything which you want to get done, give it to Patel. So hence Sardar Patel. And C. Rajagopalachari was the key strategist behind many Gandhian movements. So he was the mind behind Gandhi. Okay, chaliye. For how many years or days do we have president in our country? Or let me rephrase it. What is the tenure of the president in our country? Answer is 5 years. So when will his tenure begin? I will give you 4 options. The day he got elected. Option B, the day he took his oath. Option C, the day he got nominated. Option D, the day he enters into his office. Right? So there are 4 options. The day he got nominated, the day he got elected, the day he took oath, the day he enters into his office. Which one do you think is the right answer? Correct answer is option D. The day he enters into his office. So president के लिए काफी कुछ different है बाकी post के बारे में. In future, I will try to keep a session explaining different constitutional posts, their powers, functions, and limitations. Well, so the day he enters into his office, let's say after taking oath, if he goes on a vacation for 1 month, so 1 month के बाद शुरू होगा. The day he enters his office. चलिए. Okay, so who was the first president to die in his office? Next question. First president to die in his office. Quick question, जल्दी से answer करना है आपको. Die in his office doesn't mean that he should die on his table. It means during his tenure. First president who cannot complete his tenure in our country. That is the option A, Zakir Hussain. So Zakir Hussain, first president coming from the minority community in our country, third president of our country, right? So first, second, third to pata hai hona chahiye na, top 3. So first was Rajendra Prasad. We celebrate Advocates Day. Then Zakir Hussain, the first one who couldn't complete, and prior to him there was India's first vice president, India's second president. Can you guess the name? We celebrate something on 5th September, Teachers Day. So India's second president, unopposed president, his name was Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, right? This guy gave inspiration to all our parents, right? इनका बचपन पढ़िए, ये कैसे स्कूल पढ़ने जाते थे और फिर अपने पापा की स्टोरी मैच कीजिए, काफी सिमिलैरिटी मिलेगी. नदी पार करके, तैर के, ट्यूबलाइट के नीचे, स्ट्रीट लाइट के नीचे, everything is there in his story. So I think he was the first one to come up with that. Then everybody copied. Okay, chaliye next. So next question. Who, when president dies, vice president becomes the acting president of India. Who became the first acting president of India? Who became the first acting president of India? Incorrect answer, Shaurya. Answer is on your screen. So when Zakir Hussain was the president, V.V. Giri was the vice president. So when Zakir Hussain died, V.V. Giri became the acting president. After president's death or retirement or resignation, we have to re-elect a new one within next 6 months. V.V. Giri wanted to contest presidential election this time, so he also resigned from his post. Zakir is death, V.V. Giri resigned. Unique situation. We don't have president as well as vice president. In such a situation, Chief Justice of India will become acting president. This has happened only once in our history. And this is the incident that I'm talking about. At that point of time, our Chief Justice was Justice Hidayatullah. So Justice Hidayatullah holds the unique record of heading the executive as well as judicial branch of our country. So उनके नाम पे एक law school भी है रायपुर में. It is called HNLU Raipur, Hidayatullah National Law University. Right. Last question to end this session. From these guys, who has not been given a Bharat Ratna? So Bharat Ratna is a very special award. In today's CA session, we discuss all the Padma awards. कोई Bharat Ratna नहीं दिया गया. So बहुत कम लोगों को मिलता है. Very few people are awarded Bharat Ratna, and I'm saying 3 out of these 4 idiots, or not idiots, 3 out of these 4 amazing people were given Bharat Ratna. So who didn't get Bharat Ratna? If you know how have I narrated this entire session, you would know everything is connected. So correct answer is what Mukta says. Right answer is N. Sanjeeva Reddy. Yes, that's the only guy जिस पे question नहीं बनाया मैंने आपके लिए. So right answer option 4. So this is how you should approach static knowledge or current affairs question. Don't just stick to the question and answer. Try to dive deeper into it. CLAT में वैसे भी they are seeking in-depth knowledge of that area or understanding of the topic. So just knowing the answer is not enough. You should know why that is the correct answer. Knowing that Republic Day is celebrated on 26th January is not enough. You should know what is the Republic and why do we celebrate it or it on that particular date, right? What is the historical significance? Things like that. Chaliye, there's a question. Is IMS legal concept book enough for knowledge required as per CLAT? Yes, it is. But along with that, you will also have to refer to other IMS resources. There are IMS mocks. There are SimCLAT. There are snippets. There are your questions uploaded on the database. The way they have designed this entire program is that each component is serving a purpose. If you rely only on one component and then you blame that isme sara cover nahi hua, that is not their fault. That is an honest opinion, Purvi. So there are online tests. Please solve those. There are questions available in your mock test. You have to go through that too. Along with that, your study material would be enough, right? Yes, Devanshi, it is enough for 3-year MSCT students too. With this note, I KP Singh signing off. Thank you so much for attending. I hope you guys enjoyed. We will try to come up with more master classes. Stay tuned and do provide your feedback. Bye.